In this tutorial, we'll be looking at highlights and shadows. First of all, what are highlights and shadows? Highlights are defined as the brightest areas of an image, as indicated by the orange arrows, whereas shadows are defined as the darkest areas of an image, as indicated by the yellow arrows. As photographers, it is our aim to preserve as much detail in the highlights and shadows as the conditions allow, unless we are intentionally trying for a more artistic look, such as a high or low key image. What are blown highlights and shadows? Blown highlights and shadows are those light and dark areas of your image where no detail can be recovered. In other words, they fall outside the dynamic range of your camera. The dynamic range of a camera is the measure of light intensities from highlights to shadows. Most modern cameras have a range of between 12 and 15 stops. An older camera may have a dynamic range of less than 12. Full-frame cameras often had a better dynamic range than smaller sensored cameras such as crop and micro four thirds. But the advancement of sensor technology has significantly reduced the gap. We're now going to have a look at some methods that we can use to protect our highlights and open up our shadows. The first of which is a filter system. Neutral density filters reduce the amount of light entering the sensor. They're best used with your camera on a tripod, as you will increase your exposure time. I use a square filter system because it gives me options in stacking filters doing landscape photography. My kit consists of a circular polarizer, a 3-stop, 6-stop and 10-stop ND filter. The advantages of a square filter system is the ability to stack multiple filters. I can stack up to 3 filters at one time. The disadvantage is that they are expensive and bulky. We're now going to have a look at screw-in filters. These can be purchased for almost any lens diameter, with the exception of possibly fisheye lenses or where the lens hood is part of the lens. A good option when buying these lenses is to buy the largest filter that fits the largest lens diameter that you have, and then buy step-up rings to match all your smaller diameter lenses. There are some advantages and disadvantages of these filters. The advantages are that they are a lot cheaper than a square filter system, and they are compact. Disadvantages is you may need multiple filters across different lens sizes. They're easy to cross-thread and can be hard to get off, as well as they can produce a vignette when stacked. Lastly, we'll look at variable ND filters, a terrific idea allowing you one filter to cover a multitude of stops for ND filters. There are definitely advantages. They're very economical. One filter covers a range of stops. They're great for travel and they're very useful for video recording. A big disadvantage is that banding can occur at the higher stops, say between 6 and 9, as can be seen on this particular filter. In this next series of slides, we're going to look at in-camera methods to help protect highlights and open shadows. The first is to shoot in manual. This is especially useful when doing landscape or night photography. At present we have our camera in manual mode. we can see here that according to the camera we're exposed correctly. At f8 1/30th of a second we've got an even light distribution in the image. However, if you look more closely, we have blown highlights in the windows, and what we want to try and do is recover some of those highlights so that the image will edit better. So what we're going to do, we're going to increase the shutter speed, make it a bit faster, and until we get rid of those blown highlights. As you can see, as we're doing that, the rest of the image is getting darker. So we've had to, in order to get rid of the highlights, the blown highlights, we've had to decrease our exposure by minus 1.7 of a stop. This will get a good image for the highlights, but we'll have to try and recover the lost details in the shadows. Another method to protect highlights and open shadows is to exposure blend. This means taking one image exposing for the highlights and another exposing for the shadows and blending them in software. What we're going to do now is look at exposure blending, which is blending two or more images together to get good detail in the highlights and good detail in the shadows. So as can be seen here, these highlights are still blown as previously seen. So what we're going to do, we're going to drop the exposure using the exposure compensation dial until we get detail back into these highlights. So we're going down a third, down 2/3, a full stop, 1 1/3 stops, and 1 2/3 stops. So we've recovered the detail in the highlights. So we'll take this photo and we'll do the same for the shadows. So this area down here, we need to get some detail back in here. So what we'll do, we'll take it back to 0 and then we'll increase the exposure compensation until we get some detail back in those shadows. So plus a third stop, plus 2/3, a full stop, and a stop and a third. And I think what we've done there is we've recovered plenty of detail here. Great for exposure blending. So we'll take this photo, we'll edit these two photos in Photoshop and Lightroom after. The last method we're looking at is exposure bracketing. Very similar to exposure blending, but a little bit more restrictive in that you nominate how many stops over and how many stops under you're going to take. Some cameras allow this to be done in camera producing a JPEG image, but we're doing it manually and we'll be editing the final result in Lightroom. Another method of highlight recovery and shadow recovery, and that's exposure bracketing. This is all done in camera, and there are various amounts or various degrees of exposure compensation that can be used, and the same for how many images you take. In this case, we're only going to take 3 images and we're going to go 2 stops over and 2 stops under. So here we go. We'll go to the drive mode and we're going down to continuous bracket, and here we've got 2 stops under, 0, and 2 stops over. So I'll set the camera to that and we'll take our image. This is a lot more limiting than exposure blending because you've got fixed compensation, whereas you've got variable compensation with the blended images. So here we go. Done. So we'll look at these two in Lightroom and Photoshop later. Most, if not all, software packages allow the editing of highlights and shadows. Software packages that come built in with a PC or a Mac have improved immensely. Photoshop, Lightroom, Capture One, Affinity, as well as free programs such as the GIMP are powerful and provide a lot of options for editing. With an increase in mobile photography, many software companies are providing their apps for use on phones and tablets as well. Adobe and Affinity offer both. Some software companies only provide editing apps for phones and tablets. In the next few slides, we'll be editing the images that we took earlier. The first edit we're going to do is exposure blending, where we'll put two images in Lightroom using the inbuilt HDR feature, which stands for High Dynamic Range. What we're going to do now is exposure blend two images that we took before. These are the 1.7 underexposed and the 1.3 overexposed. This one is the underexposed image, and this is the overexposed image. We're going to blend these together in the HDR feature in Lightroom, which obviously stands for High Dynamic Range, and that's what these two images are. This feature is also available in Adobe Camera Raw. So here we go. There's the preview. There you go. So what we'll do, we'll merge this and see how it goes. Okay, we have our merged image. As you can see, there are still details missing in the shadows and the highlights, but nowhere near as bad as it was before. First thing we're going to do is do some lens corrections. And again, that took the warp out of it. Now we're going to open the exposure up a bit. There you go, probably, no, that'll do. We're going to bring down the highlights, which means they're nearly all gone. We've still got a bit of blown highlight here, but we can fix that. That's easy enough fixed. Okay, now we're going to open up the shadows. There you go. So we can see there's a lot more detail in this area. We're going to adjust the whites. Let's just get rid of that. And we'll adjust for the blacks. I'm going to select Adobe Standard. Okay, now the image looks a bit flat, so we're going to add a bit of contrast, and there you go. So what we'll do now, we'll try and get a bit more detail back here, so we'll do that with our adjustment brush. I'm going to put on the overlay, and I'm going to paint this area so that you can see what I'm doing. And what we're doing in red is what we're painting. So we'll do a recovery of this in a minute when we use the luminance mask that's available in Photoshop and Lightroom, which is a very good feature. Okay, they're the areas that we've painted in. We'll go down and turn our luminance mask on. And what we're going to do now is move this range slider as far to the left or as far to the right so that we can recover these highlights. And the areas that's shown in white are the areas that we'll be editing. So there you go. We'll take this back and reduce that range, and then we'll make it even a little bit better by adjusting the smoothness. Okay, so that's it. Now what we'll do, we can either bring down the exposure, but that ends up making it look a bit muddy. We can add a bit of contrast. Nope, that didn't work. So we'll bring down the highlights, and we might add a little bit more blue into that. So that's done with the blending two images together using the High Dynamic Range. Our next edit is exposure bracketing. These are the three bracketed images that we took earlier, and we'll be using the HDR feature in Lightroom again. Here we are in Lightroom again. This time we're going to edit the three bracketed images that we took earlier. The first image here is the two-stop underexposed. We have the correctly exposed, and we have the two-stop overexposed image. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight the three and photo merge them in HDR, which is High Dynamic Range. Here we have our merged image. Now what we can do is start the edit to bring out the details so that we have a reasonably well exposed photo. First thing we're going to do is do a lens correction to remove any distortion. Then we'll go up to the basic panel and lift the exposure a little bit. It seems very dark. So that will probably do. We'll now bring down the highlights. Still some highlight alert showing over here. Then we'll open up the shadows, adjust the whites and the blacks. Okay, we seem to have gotten rid of those highlight alerts. So the only thing we have to do now is add a bit of contrast and we're done. That was fairly simple. In this last video, we'll be editing a poorly exposed image that I took on the West Coast, but it will demonstrate the dynamic range available in most cameras. This is a single exposure that I took on the West Coast. As you can see here, there is very little detail in these shadows. You can't see much at all. And the sky looks a bit blind. So let's see if we can't fix that. First of all, we'll go landscape. I think we'll check down the lens correction. It's already selected, which is good. Now, first thing is we'll bring down the highlights. Now, again, you've got to be careful that you don't make the sky look muddy by using the highlight slider. And then we'll open up the shadows. As you can see, already there's a lot more detail, but there's still a dark spot in there. All right, we'll look at adjusting the whites. Okay, oop, too far. Here we go, that's it. And the blacks, again, that's about right there. Now we've got a fair bit of detail in there, but I think what we can do is we can make that look a little bit better. What we're going to use is a radial filter. I'm going to draw that over this big blob of grass. We'll invert it. And then we'll open up the shadows a bit more. There you go. And give it a bit more clarity and texture. Done. So that worked out quite well. We've got a nice detail in that grass. So let's see what we can do with the sky. We'll use the neutral density filter and we'll drag that down to here. I'll show you what it looks like with the mask overlay. There you go. Now, we'll bring down those highlights. I think what we'll do, we'll add a bit more blue into that sky and add a bit more contrast. And it looks, oops, there you go. Okay, and I think that's about it. So there, just goes to show what you can recover with these images, especially with the modern cameras, because there's a lot of dynamic range in them. To bring back this much detail without noise, there's very little noise in there at all. And if there is noise, you can make adjustments. There you go, look at that, no noise at all. So what we can do is see if we can't fix that a little bit, and what we'll do, we'll make it sharper. And okay, there we have it. That doesn't look too bad. In summary, there are many methods that can be used to maintain detail in the shadows and highlights. We can use filters. We can learn to use our camera and take advantage of its capabilities. Utilize your camera's inbuilt highlight alerts, blinkies and zebras. We can learn to read the histogram, available in live view on DSLRs and at all times on a mirrorless camera. We can exposure blend, we can exposure bracket, and we can use our software to its fullest extent.